Hi again, guys. Back to our fourth part of the structural analysis. And we're going to be looking at an important component today called composition. Now, composition is basically the way the artist has put things together in the image. So, for example, Picasso's Weeping Woman consists mainly of a weeping woman, and we're going to have a look at that now. All right, over here we can see that Picasso has composed the image, as I said before, mainly of the woman. So in composition up here, we're going to put main element is the weeping woman. All right, and we can also make a very obvious observation that the weeping woman has been placed in a room. So he's composed this in a room. So she is in a room. Now, Picasso has chosen to make the woman the main subject. So we will say the weeping woman is about probably 80% of, there's my percentage, there it is, 80%. The weeping woman. So what Picasso is doing is he's really trying to get us to focus on this subject here, and this links back into subject. Composition and subject are closely related. He's really trying to impress to us that this is about, the subject is about her. The composition backs up the subject matter. So she's in a room. We can also look at the other obvious way that he's composed this, and this is called the layout. So he's made it in a portrait style rather than landscape. If it was landscape, it would be turned the other way. So if you look up here, I think it's the, layout, and you can see orientation. You've got portrait there and landscape there. So Picasso has chosen to compose this in portrait style. Now, this is a very common way to view the image of a person, especially a close-up of a face. Portrait style generally lends itself best to take images of people's faces this way. So Picasso's used a very traditional style of composition for this work. So we could say portrait style and we could say traditional. He's also chosen to show a certain part of her shoulders and her hat and her hair. So that's also another important part of the composition. He's put that in there. And he's also shown her to be dressed up. So she seems to be in some sort of a black, highly dressed up, fashionable garment. Possibly these here are shoulder, what do you call them? Shoulder cuffs? Shoulder pads, sorry. So these here are the shoulder pads. And that's showing like that she's highly dressed up, and she's probably, my guess is that she's probably at a ball or something like that because of the elaborate nature of the room that she's been placed into here. But what you can do, you can continue to explore around there. You might want to look at the fact that she's holding up her hand. She's obviously, Picasso's obviously wanted to include the hands, and hands are a very good way of showing expression or expressing emotion. And she's sneezing or maybe weeping into what appears to be some sort of a handkerchief as well. And that, if you look at that, that's probably 30 to 40% of the amount of the image. So it's another important factor. So we could put that in as well. Crying and into maybe tissues. And you can look at those components there. Don't forget also, whilst you're doing this, you can also go over here and continue to use your thesaurus, which is really handy. You could say she's crying. What's another word for crying? Desperate, deplorable, awful, horrible, terrible, dreadful, lousy, weepy. You could say weepy, teary, sobbing, Let's put that in there. She does look like she's sobbing. Insert. Sobbing. Bawling, howling, maybe howling. Okay, so we'll put those in there. All right, explore that. That's composition for you. That's in a nutshell. Continue on with that. Go through that composition palette, fill those things out, and explore and have fun.